director of purchasing to be able to speed up the process of some of the vendors that I would come in with, because I had a lot of leeway in my markets in the past, so I got a lot of allowances being running some key markets that I would be able to hire new vendors, even though we had a variety of vendors that could provide X, Y, or Z service within the vetted database of H&R Block for the latest case. So that level of vendor management was perhaps a little bit more frustrating because it took some level of references, banking references, prior work, history, expediting the process. That probably was more difficult, especially because we were moving in such a fast speed based on the nature of our business that we have to have vendors with new ideas or new vendors that perhaps needed to be able to give us a different perspective and get them approved of the system very quickly in order to start the project. But, and equally important to be able to get them paid once the project was finished. So that portion, to answer your question, long-winded, perhaps was the bigger one of the challenges. Speed to market in terms to be able to have them as approved vendors for establishing a working relationship with the companies that I work with.
Perfect. And then, so that's super helpful. And then as we think about jumping back to the tracking piece, so I know we talked a lot about that. Anything else that you'd want to add beyond kind of the general benefit of having a tool to track who's been hired and kind of internal metrics that might have more information than a public site would have?
You know what? You bring up a good point. I think from a level of innovative tool, that tracking mechanism to help marketers overall manage multiple vendors, multiple formats. I mean, you could go through your standard, right, project management software or your Microsoft Excel to track it down, or your own old school, follow-up and calendarizing it. But yes, if there will be some sort of potential centralized tool that can tell you, hey, Tito, you have a vendor through Upwork, you have a vendor through through Elance, through Fiverr, et cetera. How would you be able to manage all those multiple projects? Because many of us in marketing, especially in enterprise-wide marketing, source out to a variety of vendors. For new thinking, for new creative approaches, right? We always want the shiniest thing or a new approach, some sort of centralized management software or platform that can cut across multiple vendors and be able to maybe even take part of that information would be great. So they may know Tito's working with somebody at Fiverr. Hey, can we maybe, siphon off some info to put you in a different mobile-enabled project tracking management software app? Or you're working now with Elance, the following things are due over the next couple of days. That would help because we manage so many projects and so many people, so many agencies and vendors that being able to have the capacity to do this centralized, I don't know who would do it or some brain that could do it, would be good. Thinking out loud, it would be great because it would tell me, you have the following 3 or 4 projects due in 2 days, Tito, from Fiverr, or you got to do the vendor approval system through the vendor or purchasing for Elance in about a week. So that kind of potential platform that cuts across multiple vendor platforms would be great. So anyway.
Interesting. So it's more controlling your freelancers all up rather than controlling your freelancers from X platform.
Because go ahead.
So what I'd love to get to now then is the price, the pricing elements of this. So as we think about the platforms, one of our concerns is that a lot of the value is kind of had in that initial match. As soon as you get a good match and as soon as you're able to work with them, a lot of the value of the platform starts to shift, I should say.
Okay.
So as we think about kind of the traditional way that this billing is done, our understanding is that for Upwork and Fiverr and that kind of thing, they usually charge a pretty flat fixed fee that you pay per transaction. So you pay 20%. Whether it's because they quote you 20% and they quote you 20% higher than the worker bids or whatever. They're still taking a fairly big spread, which I'm guessing you're aware of. If you think about that pricing structure, how would you change it to make it more, if all else being equal, there were 2 platforms